The stars looked peaceful from the observation deck of the Unity. Captain Jake Morrison stood with his hands behind his back, watching the distant lights shimmer in the darkness of space. His ship was on a routine patrol near the edge of human territory, checking trade routes and making sure everything ran smoothly. It was supposed to be a quiet assignment. The alarm changed everything. Lisa Patterson rushed onto the bridge, her face pale. She was the communications officer and had been monitoring the regular channels when something unusual came through. Her hands shook slightly as she worked the controls. "Captain, you need to hear this," she said. Jake moved to her station and listened. At first, there was only static and broken sounds. Then a voice came through, speaking in a language the ship's computer quickly translated. The voice belonged to someone afraid, someone desperate. "This is Counselor Kress of Valara Prime. We are under attack. The Krath Empire has invaded our world. Our fleet is destroyed. Our cities are burning. Millions of civilians are dying. We are sending this message to all nearby systems. Please, if anyone can hear this, we need help. We need it now." The message cut off, then repeated. Along with the words came video footage that made Jake's stomach turn. Cities were on fire. Ships were bombing population centers. People were running through streets, trying to escape the destruction. The Valari looked almost human in some ways, with 2 arms and 2 legs, but their skin had a light blue tint, and their eyes were larger. In the footage, those eyes showed pure terror. Jake had met a few Valari traders during diplomatic missions. They were a peaceful species, focused on art and science. They had no strong military. They had never hurt anyone. Now, someone was trying to wipe them out. "How far away are they?" Jake asked. Lisa checked her screen. "About 4 days at maximum speed. The message was sent 6 hours ago. Send this to Earth Command immediately. Priority 1. Mark it as urgent." "Already done, sir. I sent it the moment I heard it." Jake paced the bridge, 4 days away. The Valari message said they had maybe 3 weeks before their world fell completely. Earth Command would need time to decide what to do. Would they send help? Would they send just 1 ship? Would they send anything at all? He looked at his crew. They were all watching him, waiting for orders. Their faces showed the same anger he felt. Humanity had its own dark history. There had been wars, genocides, and terrible things done by humans to other humans. But humanity had learned from those mistakes. They had sworn to never let such things happen again, not to themselves, and not to others. "Set course for Valari space," Jake ordered. "Keep us at the edge of their system. I want to monitor what's happening there." "Sir, our orders are to maintain patrol in this sector," his second officer said carefully. "I know, but we're the closest human ship to the Valari. If Earth Command decides to respond, they'll need current intelligence. We're going to give it to them." The crew nodded. No one argued. They all understood. The Unity jumped to faster-than-light speed and headed toward Valara Prime. During the journey, more messages came from the Valari world. Each one was worse than the last. The Krath were not just conquering the planet. They were destroying it. They bombed hospitals and schools. They targeted refugee columns. They seemed to enjoy causing pain. Lisa worked day and night to collect every piece of information. She recorded Krath ship movements, military positions, and attack patterns. She documented everything the Krath were doing. If Earth decided to act, they would need this data. On the 3rd day of their journey, a message finally came from Earth Command. Jake expected orders to return to patrol. Instead, the message was short and direct. "Unity, maintain position at Valara System. Observe and report. Do not engage. Fleet deployment authorized. ETA 9 days. Jake read it 3 times. Fleet deployment. That meant Earth was sending more than 1 ship. But how many? 2 ships? 5? He didn't know. But at least it was something. The Unity arrived at the edge of the Valari system and immediately went into stealth mode. Human ships had excellent sensor masking technology. The Krath wouldn't know they were there. What Jake saw through his sensors made him angry. The Krath had over 90 warships in orbit around Valara Prime. They were taking turns bombing the surface. Krath landing craft moved up and down, bringing soldiers to the ground and taking resources back to the ships. This wasn't just war. This was organized theft and murder. "Captain, I'm picking up another broadcast from the surface," Lisa said. Her voice was tired. She hadn't slept much. The message played. It was Counselor Kress again, but her voice was weaker now. "This is our final call for help. The Krath have taken most of our world. We are hiding underground with what remains of our population. If anyone receives this message, please know that we tried. We tried to be good neighbors to the galaxy. We tried to live in peace. We only wish that someone had heard our first call, that someone had cared enough to—" The message cut to static. Lisa wiped her eyes. Several other crew members looked away from their screens. Jake felt a fire burning in his chest. The Valari thought no one was coming. They thought they would die alone. "Send a tight beam message to the Valari Council bunker," Jake ordered. "Maximum encryption. Tell them help is coming. Tell them to hold on for 9 more days. Tell them Earth heard their call." "Sir, that will reveal our position to the Krath if they intercept it," his tactical officer warned. "I don't care. Send it." Lisa worked quickly and sent the message. They waited to see if there would be a response. Minutes passed, then an hour. Jake was about to give up when a reply came through. "This is Counselor Kress. Your message. We thought no one heard us. You're sending help? How many ships? 1? We're grateful for anything." Jake smiled. The Valari had no idea what was coming. Humanity didn't do things halfway. When someone asked for help, when innocent people were dying, humans responded with everything they had. "Tell her to watch the skies in 9 days," Jake said. "Tell her Earth is bringing more than 1 ship." He looked out at the Krath fleet orbiting Valara Prime. Those ships had no idea what was about to hit them. They had never fought humans before. They were about to learn a hard lesson about what happens when you hurt innocent people and humanity finds out about it. The countdown had begun. Admiral Kyle Bennett stood in the command center at Earth Defense Headquarters, watching the video footage for the 5th time. The images from Valara Prime showed burning cities, fleeing civilians, and Krath soldiers firing on unarmed people. His jaw tightened with each scene. "How long ago did we receive this?" he asked. 16 hours, sir," replied Lieutenant Amy Chen. She was one of his best intelligence analysts, young but sharp. "Captain Morrison sent it from the Unity. He's currently in stealth position at the edge of the Valari system." Kyle nodded. He had served in the military for 30 years and had seen many terrible things. But this was different. The Valari had asked for help. They had sent a message into space, hoping someone would care. That message had reached Earth, and now Earth had to decide what to do. "Get the Council on the line," Kyle ordered. "Emergency session. We meet in 2 hours." The United Earth Council gathered faster than usual. When they saw the footage, the debate was short. There were questions about logistics and timing, but no one questioned whether they should act. The vote was unanimous. Earth would respond. "How many ships can we deploy?" asked the council chairwoman. Kyle had already prepared the answer. "If we mobilize everything available within 9 days, we can field 347 warships. That includes destroyers, cruisers, battleships, and carriers. We'll also need support vessels, medical ships, and supply lines." One council member looked surprised. "That's nearly half our total fleet? For a species we barely know?" "They asked for help," Kyle said simply. "We don't need to know someone for 100 years before we protect them from genocide. Besides, this sends a message to the entire galaxy. Earth protects those who need protection." The council approved the deployment. Within 6 hours, orders went out to every human military base, shipyard, and colony, the largest military mobilization since the colony wars had begun. Kyle chose the Valiant as his flagship. She was a heavy carrier, capable of holding 300 fighters and serving as a mobile command center. He personally selected the other ship commanders. Captain Ryan Martinez would command the destroyer Fury, known for her speed and firepower. Captain Beth Andrews would lead the battlecruiser Relentless, a ship with enough armor to take hits and keep fighting. Dozens of other captains received their orders and began preparing their crews. At the military shipyards orbiting Earth and Mars, workers shifted to emergency schedules. Ships that were in maintenance got rushed repairs. Supplies got loaded at record speed. Weapons systems got checked and double-checked. Everyone knew what was happening. Word had spread about the Valari and the Krath. People wanted to help. Lieutenant Amy Chen worked around the clock to gather intelligence on the Krath Empire. What she found was not impressive. The Krath had about 200 ships total in their entire military. They were known as bullies who picked fights with weaker species. They had never faced a peer military power. They certainly had never faced humanity. "They rely on fear," Amy explained during a briefing. "They bomb civilians to break resistance quickly. Their tactics are brutal but not sophisticated. Ship to ship, their vessels are average at best." "What about their fleet at Valara Prime?" Kyle asked. 91 ships based on Captain Morrison's latest count. Mix of cruisers and destroyers with one dreadnought as the flagship. They have orbital superiority and are landing ground troops across the planet. Kyle studied the tactical display. 347 human ships against 91 Krath vessels. The numbers were in their favor, but he never underestimated an enemy. "What's their command structure?" "Highly centralized. War leader Vexoth commands from the dreadnought. If we take out the flagship, their coordination will collapse." "Good. We'll give them a chance to surrender first. If they refuse, we end this quickly." Across Earth's solar system, ships began gathering at the rally point near Jupiter. The Valiant arrived first, her massive frame dwarfing most other vessels. One by one, the fleet assembled. Destroyers, swift and deadly. Cruisers, balanced and reliable. Battleships, heavy and powerful. Carriers loaded with fighters. Support ships with medical teams and supplies. And a dozen troop transports carrying Marines trained in ground operations. Captain Ryan Martinez walked the corridors of the Fury, checking on his crew. They were ready. They had trained for combat, but most had never seen real war. He gathered them in the mess hall and spoke plainly. "We're going to Valara Prime to stop a genocide. The Krath are killing innocent people. Our job is to stop them. This won't be easy, and it won't be clean. But it's the right thing to do. When we arrive, follow your training, trust your team, and remember why we're doing this." Similar speeches happened on every ship in the fleet. Commanders talked to their crews. Veterans shared advice with newcomers. Everyone understood the mission. Back on Earth, news of the deployment spread. At first, some people questioned the cost. 300 ships was a massive commitment. But when the full footage from Valara Prime was released to the public, opinion shifted quickly. Humanity had survived its own terrible wars. Humans knew what genocide looked like. They had promised themselves, never again. That promise extended beyond Earth now. Volunteers flooded recruitment centers. Retired veterans asked to return to service. Engineers offered to help with ship maintenance. Doctors volunteered for the medical ships. Earth was mobilizing not just its military, but its entire society. Kyle received reports from Captain Jake Morrison every day. The situation on Valara Prime was getting worse. The Krath were tightening their control. More cities fell. More civilians died. But Jake also reported that the Valari were holding on. The message about incoming help had spread through their resistance network. They knew Earth was coming. On the 8th day, the fleet was ready. Kyle stood on the bridge of the Valiant and looked at the tactical display. 347 ships, all fueled, armed, and ready. Tens of thousands of crew members prepared for combat. The largest fleet Earth had assembled in decades, all for a species most humans had never met. "All ships report ready, sir," his communications officer announced. Kyle took a deep breath. He thought about the Volari hiding underground, hoping someone would save them. He thought about the Krath, confident in their victory, unaware of what was coming. He thought about what this moment meant. Earth was announcing to the galaxy that humanity would not stand by while innocent people suffered. "Open a fleet-wide channel," he ordered. "Channel open, sir." "This is Admiral Bennett to all ships. We're about to jump to Valara Prime. When we arrive, we're going to face an enemy that thinks brutality equals strength. They're wrong. Real strength is protecting those who can't protect themselves. Real strength is standing up to bullies, even when it costs us. Today we show the galaxy what humanity stands for. All ships, prepare for jump." "We're bringing these people home." The acknowledgments came in from every ship. Engines powered up, jump drives charged. The fleet formed into combat formation, a massive wall of human military power. "All ships ready, sir," the tactical officer confirmed. "Execute jump," Kyle commanded. Space tore open as 347 human warships vanished in flashes of light. They were heading to Valara Prime. The Krath had no idea what was about to hit them. The Volari thought they were alone. Both were about to learn the truth. When someone called for help and humanity heard that call, humans didn't send a messenger. They didn't send one ship. They sent everything they had. Because that's what humans did. War leader Vexoth stood on the command deck of his dreadnought, watching the final stages of the Valara Prime conquest. His fleet had broken the Volari resistance weeks ago. Now it was just cleanup work. Ground forces were sweeping through the last underground bunkers. Soon, the planet would be completely under Krath control. He felt satisfied. This campaign had been easy. The Volari were weak, just like intelligence had said. They barely fought back. Their technology was outdated. Their military had crumbled after the first day. This would look good on his record. Maybe the High Command would give him another assignment, another weak species to crush. "War leader, sensors are detecting anomalies at the edge of the system," his sensor officer called out. Vexoth barely looked up. "What kind of anomalies?" "Multiple slip space ruptures. Many of them." "How many?" The sensor officer's face went pale. "Counting now, sir. 20, 50, 100. Still counting." Now Vexoth paid attention. He walked to the sensor station and looked at the display. Dots appeared on the screen, one after another, spreading across the edge of the system like stars appearing at twilight. His stomach tightened. "Final count, sir. 347 ships. Unknown design. They're broadcasting a message." "Play it," Vexoth ordered, his voice tight. A human voice came through the speakers, translated by the ship's computer. "This is Admiral Kyle Bennett of the Earth Defense Fleet responding to a distress call from Valara Prime. Krath forces, you are engaging in unprovoked warfare against a civilian population. You have one chance to withdraw peacefully. You have 30 minutes to begin retreat from this system. If you do not comply, we will remove you by force." Vexoth stared at the screen. 347 ships. Where did they come from? The Volari had no allies. Earth? He had never heard of Earth. His intelligence network had no data on them. What were humans? "Send a message to High Command," he ordered. "Tell them we have a situation." "Sir, the human fleet is taking up battle formation. They're moving into engagement range." Vexoth looked at his own fleet. 91 ships. Good ships, strong ships. But 300 against 90? Those were terrible odds. Maybe the humans were bluffing. Maybe their ships were weak. Some species built big fleets with weak vessels. "What do we know about these humans?" he demanded. His intelligence officer worked frantically at his console. "Nothing, sir. No records in our database. No previous contact." No trade relationships. It's like they appeared from nowhere. 20 minutes passed. Vexoth tried to contact High Command, but communication took time across interstellar distances. He wouldn't get a response for hours. He had to make a decision now. "Scan their ships," he ordered. "I want to know what we're facing." The tactical officer ran every scan available. What he found made Vexoth's blood run cold. "Sir, their energy readings they're massive. Their weapon systems are reading far above our technology level. Their shield strength is triple what our ships carry. And their fighters, they have over 4,000 fighters in those carrier groups." 4,000 fighters. Vexoth had 200. "War leader, the humans are hailing us again. 10 minutes remaining." Vexoth thought about retreating. But if he ran from an unknown enemy without fighting, High Command would strip him of rank. The Krath Empire didn't retreat. They were conquerors. They were feared across this region of space. These humans needed to learn that. "All ships, battle stations, prepare to engage." "Sir, are you sure?" "I gave an order," Vexoth shouted. "These humans want to scare us with numbers. We'll show them Krath warriors don't scare easily. Target their flagship. Fire when ready." On the bridge of the Valiant, Admiral Kyle Bennett watched the countdown reach 0. He had given the Krath a chance. They had refused it. Now humanity would do what it came here to do. "Sir, the Krath dreadnought is powering weapons," his tactical officer reported. "They're targeting us." Kyle's face remained calm. "All ships, weapons free. Execute Battle Plan Alpha. Target their command vessel first. I want that dreadnought disabled, not destroyed. We'll need prisoners for war crimes tribunals." "Yes, sir." Space lit up with weapons fire. The Krath struck first, their main guns firing at the Valiant. The shots hit the carrier's shields and dissipated harmlessly. Human shields were designed to take hits from much more powerful weapons. Then humanity returned fire. Captain Ryan Martinez watched from the bridge of the Fury as his destroyer unleashed its railgun batteries. Solid projectiles moving at a fraction of light speed tore through space. They hit a Krath cruiser's shields and punched straight through. The cruiser's hull ruptured. Air and debris burst from the holes. "Target destroyed," his weapons officer reported. "Moving to next target." All across the battlefield, human ships engaged the Krath fleet. It wasn't a battle. It was target practice. Human weapons were generations ahead of Krath technology. Human shields shrugged off Krath fire. Human fighters, piloted by trained veterans, swarmed Krath ships like angry hornets. Captain Beth Andrews commanded the Relentless with calm precision. Her battle cruiser anchored the left flank, taking fire from multiple Krath destroyers. The shots barely scratched her shields. Meanwhile, her torpedo batteries locked onto target after target. Each torpedo hit like a hammer. Krath ships exploded or went dead in space. "This is almost too easy," her first officer muttered. "Stay sharp," Beth warned. "Overconfidence kills." But she was right. The Krath couldn't compete. Within 20 minutes, half their fleet was destroyed or disabled. The survivors tried to retreat, but human ships were faster. They cut off escape routes and herded the Krath vessels into a tight group. On the Krath dreadnought, war leader Vexoth watched his fleet die. He had made a terrible mistake. These humans weren't bluffing. They weren't weak. They were apex predators, and he had challenged them. "All ships retreat, break orbit, and—" An explosion rocked the dreadnought. Human railguns had targeted the engine section. The massive ship shuddered and began to list. Emergency alarms blared. Crew members scrambled to damage control stations. "Engines are offline, sir. We're dead in space." Vexoth slumped in his command chair. It was over. In less than an hour, the humans had destroyed his entire fleet. 91 ships, reduced to wreckage and surrendering hulks. "Incoming message from the human flagship," his communications officer said quietly. "Play it." Admiral Kyle Bennett's face appeared on the screen. He looked calm, almost bored. "War leader Vexoth, your fleet is defeated. Surrender now, and you will be treated according to the laws of war. Your wounded will receive medical care. Your crews will be detained as prisoners. Refuse, and we will destroy every remaining ship. Vexoth wanted to refuse. He wanted to fight to the end. But he looked around his bridge. Young crew members, scared and wounded. He had led them into disaster. He couldn't kill them all out of pride. "We surrender," he said, the words tasting like poison. On Valara Prime's surface, Counselor Cress watched the sky through a crack in the bunker entrance. She had seen the flashes of weapons fire in orbit. She had felt the ground shake from debris falling. Her people huddled around her, afraid to hope. Then her communication device buzzed. A message came through from the human fleet. "Counselor Cress, this is Admiral Bennett. The Krath fleet has been neutralized. We're sending ships to secure the planet. Ground forces will begin landing in 1 hour. You're safe now. Earth has arrived." Cress felt tears running down her face. Her hands shook as she turned to her people. "They came," she whispered. "The humans came. We're saved." All around her, Valari began to cry. Some laughed. Others just sat down in shock. They had been preparing to die. They had said goodbye to their families. They had given up hope. But someone had heard their call. Someone had cared. And that someone had brought an armada. The first human dropships broke through the atmosphere of Valara Prime like falling stars. Captain Alex Torres sat in the lead ship, checking his rifle one last time. Behind him, 40 Marines sat in their seats, fully armed and ready. They had trained for this. Now they would see if their training was enough. 2 minutes to landing, the pilot announced. Sensors show Krath ground forces scattered across the city below. They're disorganized. Looks like news of the fleet battle reached them. Alex nodded. Good. Scared enemies made mistakes. But they could also be desperate, and desperate enemies were dangerous. He opened the squad channel. "Listen up. Our mission is to protect Valari civilians and neutralize Krath ground forces. Rules of engagement are clear. If they shoot, we shoot back. If they surrender, we take them prisoner. If they're near civilians, we hold fire and find another way. Everyone clear?" The Marines confirmed. The dropship shook as it descended. Through the windows, Alex could see the city below. Parts of it were on fire. Buildings had collapsed. Streets were covered with rubble. This had been a beautiful place once. The Krath had turned it into a war zone. The dropship landed hard in what used to be a public square. The rear door dropped open and Alex led his squad out. The air smelled like smoke and chemicals. In the distance, he heard weapons fire and screams. "Contacts! 300 meters north," his scanner operator called. "Krath soldiers, approximately 20 of them. They're engaging Valari civilians in a residential building. Move out. Combat formation. Stun grenades first. Then suppressive fire." The squad moved through the ruined streets. They reached the residential building and took positions. Alex could see the Krath soldiers through the windows. They were tall, with dark gray skin and heavy armor. They were firing into rooms where Valari families were hiding. "On my mark," Alex whispered. 3, 2, 1, mark! Stun grenades crashed through the windows. The explosions were bright and loud. The Krath soldiers stumbled, disoriented. Human Marines rushed in through multiple entrances. It was over in seconds. 20 Krath soldiers found themselves surrounded by humans with weapons aimed at their heads. "Drop your weapons!" Alex ordered. The ship's computer translated his words into the Krath language. "On the ground now!" Most of the Krath soldiers surrendered immediately. 2 tried to fight and were quickly stunned with non-lethal weapons. Within minutes, all 20 were restrained and secured. Alex moved to the rooms where the Valari were hiding. He saw families huddled together, parents covering their children. They looked at him with fear at first. He removed his helmet so they could see his face. "We're from Earth," he said slowly, letting the computer translate. You're safe now. We're here to help." A Valari mother stepped forward cautiously. She was holding a small child who couldn't have been more than 5 years old. You came? The humans came?" "Yes. Our fleet is in orbit. We're here to make sure the Krath never hurt you again." The mother started crying. Other Valari emerged from hiding. An older male approached Alex and touched his arm gently. "Why? Why did you come? We are nothing to you." Alex thought about how to answer that. "Because you asked for help, and because letting bad things happen when you can stop them. That's not who we are." Similar scenes played out across Valara Prime. Human Marines landed in dozens of cities. They found Krath soldiers and disarmed them. They found Valari civilians and protected them. The Krath resistance collapsed quickly. With their fleet destroyed and no hope of reinforcement, most Krath ground forces surrendered without fighting. Lieutenant Nicole Harper landed with the medical units in the capital city. She was a combat medic, trained to treat injuries under fire. What she found was worse than any battlefield. The Krath had deliberately targeted hospitals and medical facilities. Wounded Valari were being treated in basements and underground tunnels with almost no supplies. "Set up the field hospital here," she ordered, pointing to a large square. "Get the surgical units operational first. We're going to have a lot of patients." Within an hour, human medical teams had established a fully functional hospital. They brought advanced equipment, supplies, and medicine. Valari doctors and nurses, exhausted and desperate, watched in amazement as humans set up systems in minutes that would have taken the Valari days. Nicole worked alongside a Valari doctor named Varix. He was old, with tired eyes, but his hands were steady. Together they treated patient after patient. Burns, broken bones, infections, malnutrition. The Krath had caused so much suffering. "I have never seen medical technology like this," Varix said as Nicole used a tissue regenerator to heal a child's severe burns. "This would take us weeks. You do it in minutes." "We've been developing this technology for decades," Nicole explained. "After our own wars, we decided we needed to get better at saving lives." "You had wars? Your own people fought each other?" Nicole nodded sadly. "Yes. Terrible wars. We almost destroyed ourselves. But we learned. We changed. Now we try to use our strength to protect others." A young Valari child, maybe 7 years old, approached Nicole shyly. She held out a small flower, slightly crushed, but still intact. "For you," she said in broken English. "Thank you for saving us." Nicole took the flower carefully and smiled. "You're welcome, sweetie." "You're very brave." The child looked up at her with wide eyes. "Why did you come? We're just small, not important." Nicole knelt down to the child's level. "Everyone is important. Every life matters. When someone needs help, good people help. That's all." "Are all humans good?" Nicole laughed softly. "No, humans can be good or bad just like any people. But we try to be good. We try to help." Up in orbit, Admiral Kyle Bennett coordinated the occupation with Counselor Kress. She had emerged from her bunker and was now working with the human command to restore order to her world. "We need help rebuilding infrastructure," she explained, looking at maps of her planet. "Power plants, water treatment, communications, the Krath destroyed so much." "We have construction teams ready to deploy," Kyle assured her. "They'll work with your engineers. We're not here to take over. We're here to help you rebuild and defend yourselves." "Defend ourselves? But our military is gone. We have almost nothing left." "We'll help you rebuild that too. We'll train new forces. We'll provide defensive weapons and technology. And we'll leave a patrol group in your system until you're stable." Kress looked at the human admiral with confusion. "Why? You defeated our enemy. You saved us. Now you offer to help rebuild? What do you want in return?" Kyle smiled. "A friendship, an alliance. We'd like to establish trade relations and maybe an embassy, but that's your choice. We're not demanding anything. You asked for help, And we're giving it. That's all. I don't understand. In our experience, powerful species always want something. Territory, resources, tribute. You want nothing? We want you to survive and thrive. That's enough. Cress sat down slowly. The galaxy has never seen anything like your people. Maybe the galaxy needs to see something different, Kyle replied. Captain Jake Morrison, whose initial message had started everything, finally landed on Valara Prime. He walked through the capital city, seeing human and Valari working together. Construction equipment hummed, medical tents bustled with activity, children played in cleared streets, watched over by both human Marines and Valari volunteers. He found Counselor Cress at the temporary government building. She was coordinating relief efforts with human logistics officers. When she saw Jake, she stopped what she was doing and approached him. "You're Captain Morrison, the one who sent our message to Earth." "Yes, ma'am." "Then you started all this. One message, one human ship. And now," she gestured at the activity around them, "an entire fleet, an entire army. All of this because one human cared enough to send our message forward." Jake felt uncomfortable with the praise. "I just did what anyone would do." "No," Cress said firmly. "Most species would have ignored us. Most would have calculated cost versus benefit and decided we weren't worth saving. Your people calculated nothing. They simply heard a cry for help and answered with everything they had." She touched his shoulder gently. "You saved millions of lives, Captain Morrison. Every Valari alive today owes their existence to that choice you made. We will never forget this. Never." Jake looked out at the city. Human dropships were landing with more supplies. Marines patrolled streets, keeping people safe. Medics treated wounded. Engineers worked on power grids. Humanity had brought everything it had to this planet. "We just hope you'll do the same someday," Jake said. "If you hear someone calling for help, we hope you'll remember this and pass it forward." Cress smiled. "We will. I promise you, we will." 3 months after the liberation, Valara Prime looked different. Construction crews had rebuilt most of the damaged infrastructure. Power flowed to every city. Clean water ran through repaired systems. The scars of war remained, but life was returning to normal. Captain Ryan Martinez stood on the bridge of the Fury, watching the planet below. His destroyer was part of a rotating patrol, 6 human ships that stayed in the Valari system to ensure security. It was supposed to be boring duty. Just watch the sensors. Make sure no one caused trouble and rotate home after 3 months. "Captain, we're picking up an unidentified ship approaching the system," his sensor officer called out. "Small vessel, looks civilian." Ryan moved to the tactical display. "Hail them. Standard protocols." The ship responded immediately. It was a trade vessel from a species called the Norim. They had heard about what happened at Valara Prime and wanted to establish trade relations with both the Valari and humanity. Word was spreading across the galaxy about the humans who had saved an entire planet. "Permission to enter the system granted," Ryan replied. "Welcome to Valara Prime." It had been like this for weeks. Ships arrived from dozens of species. Some came to trade, others came to see the humans everyone was talking about. A few came with their own requests for help. Back on Earth, Admiral Kyle Bennett sat in his office, looking at a screen full of messages. After the Valari liberation, his office had been flooded with communications from across the galaxy. Species he had never heard of were reaching out to Earth. Some messages were simple greetings, species wanting to establish diplomatic relations. Others were offers of trade and cultural exchange. But many were distress calls, similar to what the Valari had sent, small civilizations facing invasion, natural disasters, or humanitarian crises, all of them asking if Earth would help. Kyle rubbed his temples. One crisis he could handle, but dozens? Humanity couldn't save everyone. They didn't have unlimited resources or ships. Choices would have to be made. Lieutenant Amy Chen entered his office with another stack of reports. She looked as tired as he felt. "Sir, we've received 14 new requests for assistance in the last week. I've categorized them by urgency and feasibility." "How many can we actually respond to?" Kyle asked. "With current resources? Maybe 3. 4 if we stretch ourselves thin." Kyle looked at the reports. Each one represented lives in danger. People who had heard about Valara Prime and hoped Earth would save them too. How did you choose who to save and who to let die? "Draft responses to all of them," he ordered. "Be honest about our limitations. Offer what assistance we can provide, even if it's just advice or diplomatic support. And for the most urgent cases, present options to the Council." "Yes, sir." Amy turned to leave, then paused. "Sir, if I may ask, do you think we did the right thing, going to Valara Prime? We've changed something in the galaxy. Expectations are different now." Kyle thought about the question. "We saved millions of lives. Whatever complications came from that, I'll live with them. We can't save everyone, but we saved the Valari. That matters." On Valara Prime, Councillor Kress prepared for her speech to the Galactic Assembly. It would be her first appearance before the major powers of the galaxy. She was nervous, but determined. The Assembly met in a massive space station that orbited a neutral star. Representatives from hundreds of species gathered in the Great Hall. Councillor Kress walked to the speaking platform, aware that every eye was on her. "Honorable members of the Assembly," she began, her voice steady, "I stand before you as the leader of a people who should not exist. 3 months ago, my world was dying. The Krath Empire invaded us with overwhelming force. Our fleet was destroyed in hours. Our cities burned. Our people fled to underground shelters and waited to die." She paused, letting the silence stretch. "We sent a distress call into space. We did not expect anyone to answer. Most of you know that cries for help are common in the galaxy. Most are ignored. The strong prey on the weak, and the weak die. That is the way things have always been." Some representatives shifted uncomfortably. They knew she was right. But someone did answer. A species we barely knew, located far from our space. Humanity received our call and responded with 347 warships. They traveled across space to defend people they had never met. They fought a battle they had no obligation to fight. They asked for nothing in return, except that we remember their help and someday pass it forward. Kress looked around the hall. "Earth has shown us something new. They showed us that strength without compassion is just tyranny. That technology without ethics is just power. That a civilization is not measured by how much it can take, but by how much it is willing to give to those in need." She held up a data chip. "This chip contains full documentation of the Valari crisis and Earth's response. I am submitting it as evidence that a new principle should guide our galaxy. The principle that civilized beings have a duty to protect those who cannot protect themselves." There was silence. Then one representative stood. Then another. Soon the entire hall was standing, applauding. Not everyone agreed with Kress, but no one could deny the power of her words. In a private chamber after the speech, representatives from several major powers approached Kress. They wanted to discuss Earth and its military capabilities. Some were worried, others were curious. All of them were reassessing their understanding of humanity. "Your speech was moving," said Ambassador Trell of the Zorath Confederation. "But I must ask, are the humans really so altruistic? Do they truly want nothing?" Kress smiled. "They want what any good neighbor wants. Safety, prosperity, and to live in a galaxy where might does not always make right. Is that so hard to believe?" "In my experience, yes," Trell replied honestly. "Power corrupts." "Always. Then perhaps you should spend time with humans. See for yourself." News of Cress's speech spread across the galaxy. On some worlds, it inspired hope. Species facing their own crises began to wonder if they, too, could call for help. On other worlds, it caused fear. Aggressive empires realized there was now a species willing to challenge them. The balance of power was shifting. Captain Jake Morrison visited Valara Prime one last time before his permanent reassignment. He walked through the rebuilt capital city with Counselor Cress. Children played in parks. Markets bustled with activity. Life had returned. "We're going to build a memorial," Cress told him, "in the central square. It will honor all those who died in the invasion, but also all the humans who came to save us." "That's not necessary," Jake said. "We just did what was right." "That's exactly why it's necessary. Because you think it was just the right thing to do, not something worth bragging about. That attitude needs to be remembered and celebrated." They reached the site where the memorial would stand. Construction equipment sat ready. Designers had created a striking monument that would show humans and Valari standing together, reaching toward the stars. A young Valari girl approached them. Jake recognized her. She was the one who had given Lieutenant Nicole Harper a flower. She looked healthier now, with bright eyes and a genuine smile. "Are you Captain Morrison?" she asked. "Yes, I am. My teacher said you were the first human to help us, that you sent our message to Earth." Jake knelt down to her level. "I sent the message, but a lot of humans helped. Thousands of them. Why did you do it? Why did humans come?" It was a question Jake had been asked many times. Each time he tried to give an answer that made sense. Because when someone asks for help and you can give it, you should. That's what good people do. Are all humans good? Jake laughed softly. It was the same question the child had asked Nicole months ago. No, we're not all good, but we try to be, and we believe that protecting innocent people from harm is one of the most important things anyone can do. The girl thought about this. When I grow up, I want to be like humans. I want to help people who need it. Then you'll make the galaxy a better place, Jake told her. That evening, Jake stood on the landing platform preparing to board his shuttle. Counselor Cress came to see him off. She handed him a small data chip. "This contains messages from Valari across our world," she explained. "Thousands of them, children, elders, workers, artists, all saying thank you, all promising to remember what humanity did, and all swearing that if someone else ever calls for help, Valara Prime will answer." Jake took the chip carefully. "That's all we ask. Pass it forward." "We will," Cress promised. "But I need you to understand something. What you did here changed the galaxy. Other species are watching. Some will follow your example, others will resent it. Earth has made itself a symbol of something new. That comes with responsibilities and dangers." "We know," Jake replied. "But we'd rather be a symbol of hope than sit back and let terrible things happen." "Then the galaxy is lucky to have you." Jake boarded his shuttle and looked back at Valara Prime one last time. The planet gleamed in the light of its sun. Cities spread across its surface, alive and thriving. Millions of people were living their lives because humanity had answered a call for help. As his shuttle climbed into space, Jake thought about all the other messages that were arriving at Earth. All the other species asking for help. Humanity couldn't save everyone, but they had saved the Valari, and that mattered. In a distant sector of space, a small civilization faced its own crisis. They had heard the story of Valara Prime. They knew about Earth now. As their situation grew desperate, their leaders made a decision. They would send a message asking for help. Maybe the humans would answer. Maybe they wouldn't. But the Valari had asked and been saved. That meant it was possible. Hope existed. The message was sent. And on Earth, in a military command center, someone would receive it. Someone would read it. Someone would care. Because that's what humans did.